Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Margaret Reeves again on the topic of getting through the holidays. Tonight's topic is going to be about grief and loss. There are large griefs and there are little griefs. Little griefs are when you're expecting some guest and at the last minute your significant other says they can't make it due to work responsibilities, or your boss is at work is transferred to another company, or you discover problems in your bank account, those types of losses. And large griefs are when you have to relocate to another job or move out of the city. 1 in 5 Americans move each year due to their job, or a divorce, retirement, being laid off, loss of a loved one, expected or unexpected. Of course, unexpected would cause more grief, but that's another topic entirely unto itself. Or you can have loss of regular contact to someone because of a divorce. And so far as grief is concerned, in general, it's part of the human experience. It's as natural as breathing. It's inevitable, and how we handle little griefs is a good indication of how we will probably handle the larger griefs. But we face little griefs every day, and not everybody experiences the grief or loss in the same way. Each person's experience is unique, and there is no wrong or right way to grieve other than using drugs or alcohol or saying, "I'll show you, I'll hurt me," something like that. Grief, and that is those who have no hope. When you have something worth grieving about, go ahead and grieve. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. Of course, this is from a verse from the Bible. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance. So, there is also a time for grieving. There are 5 tasks that grieving work requires. And the first one is to accept the death or the loss. The second one would be to express emotions, not to bottle them up inside. The third is to store memories. The fourth is to begin to separate your own identity from the loved one. And 5, reinvest in life because you have a purpose on earth. Now, in your journey of grief, you have to look at what shapes your journey. The loss itself, what is that indicative of? The relationship, was it sudden or unexpected? Efforts to heal will take time. And grief affects you at times that you least expect it. The average grieving time is 6 months to 1 year. So everybody on this planet, I'm not talking about bipolar disorder, and I'm not talking about people who have depression or any other type of mood disorder. I'm talking about everybody on this planet will undergo some type of loss, and the grieving time is usually 6 months to a year. The indicator that there's a problem, you might need help or medication or to get to a therapist would be if it goes longer than that. But number 1, don't rush it. 2, realize that it's normal. 3, it is a private affair. Number 4, you can't hurry it. And number 5 is you can't bypass it. Lots of people think they can do that, but you can't. You need to go through it. So, in this plan of grief, plan to take care of yourself and give yourself permission to grieve. Take care of your mind, body, and spirit. What can you do to take care of yourself physically and emotionally? Those are the questions you need to answer. How has your unresolved grief affected your relationship with others? That's a big question, and that's usually something that, as a therapist of 36 years, I've noticed right away when someone has not dealt with their grief and how it affects the people around them. What obstacles are preventing you from expressing your grief? Are they because you have to be strong and have to show people that you're strong, or you don't want other people to worry about you, or you think expressing your grief makes it real on some level, and not expressing it will make it not really there. Those are just some examples. And what are some of the why questions that you want answers to? I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Because there is an exercise you can do, which is a goodbye letter. And I'll show you an example of how that will go. And those are very, very cathartic and very helpful. Excuse me. How would knowing the answers to those questions help heal you from the grief? And I'll let you in on a little clue when it comes to the field of therapy. Why won't change anything? Why is not a good question to ask? Someone will ask me, why is she shy? Or why is he like this? The bigger question would be, how can I help this person overcome this obstacle? Or as I see it, as a perceived obstacle. Or what can be done, or what are the choices. But why someone is the way they are, only God knows that. So, are there any obstacles and when you're thinking about beginning to ask the questions other than why? Why can't I help them? Why won't they let me help them? Why won't they let me in? Why won't I let them in? Those are the questions. I also want to talk about dealing with stress after a traumatic event. Some tips for coping are knowing that it's normal to have difficulty managing any major traumatic events. However, if you do not do it, it can be harmful. So here are some tips for coping with stressful events and in times to help encourage you and others. Number 1, talk about it. 2, spend time with family and friends. 3, take care of yourself. 4, limit exposure to the event. 5, find time to enjoy and engage in activities that you enjoy. Take one thing at a time. Do something positive. Avoid drugs and excessive drinking. And ask for help when you need it. Realize your feelings are not going to go away. So sometimes they're so intense that they interfere with your ability to function on a daily basis. So talk with a trusted relative and know that even a spiritual advisor or a doctor about the recent events, and you can even join a support group. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. So at this point, I am going to say goodbye and good night, and next topic will be on the goodbye letter. Take care. This is Dr. Reeves. Peace out.